Welcome everyone to this month's Pfaff techniques class, playing with fonts. And I'm Adeline with Scrap and Sew. And we're going to have fun today because there's a lot of things you can do once you learn the basics with fonts. And there's a few little tricks and techniques, and you can actually do projects on your machine without using the computer, which is what I would prefer to do. So let me get a couple of my samples so I can introduce the topic. So this is the pillow that I made as the sample. So it's a reading pillow and it's a small one. So it's like, it's called a travel pillow, and it has a pocket in it so that you can put a book in it. This one I made for my grandson who's going into kindergarten and will hopefully be reading at the end of kindergarten. And then this is, well, these are actually two of my, flags. I did the first one at Valentine's Day, which is strictly, let's see if I can get this straight, which is strictly all lettering from the machine. There are certain parts of this garden flag that has little hearts. Those are mini designs. This one is in the mini designs. And then this one is something I played around with, and I put the heart in the middle of the love. So there's all kinds of things that you could do. Then you've seen this one already because this one was on the blog. And this one, I pretty much find these subway art is what it's called. And then I try and copy them to make them work. And that's the challenge of the part of is the making them work. And in this project, today, we're going to talk about the difference between rescale and resize. So some of these have been rescaled, and then some of them have been resized. So I will show you those two differences. Then there are other ways to insert lettering as well. So you saw my samples of the towels. And I have to go by, I'm going to wait until I get back up north. I'm not going to put a basket in a luggage. So then I'll just go and find a basket to arrange the towels. And then I made the ribbons for the basket, tie it off, put some tulle or even plastic if I can't find tulle. It's a small town, so I may be limited in my options. And what I did is I put their name, Jenny and Brandon, on one end of the ribbon. And then the other end of the ribbon is the date. And they're getting married July 8th, 2023. I couldn't believe it when I wrote that. It's just like, oh, his sister got married 2018, and I thought that was bad. But this is my youngest brother, so he had children later in life. So these are his children that are getting married. So what I put this on was the metal hoop. I love doing the lettering on the metal hoop because what I just do is I put 2 layers of washable stabilizer. In this case, it's Aqua Magic. And then I do the basting box first, set the ribbon down, and then baste it again. And that was really simple. Took me literally no time. But there's a few oopses in here that I was in such a hurry that I neglected to delete them. And what I didn't delete are the spaces. When you put a space in something, what it does is it reads it, that it goes to that space, it stops and cuts it off. And then it opens up again. And so it pauses and literally cuts and then waits for their next command to go. Usually what I do is I just delete that cell rather than leave it in, but this one was my mistake. So I'm going to show you that little trick as well. So lots of ways to do lettering on your machine without going to the software. Of course, going to the software is really simple. And I do have the silver version, which includes the 200 plus letters that come with the silver version. And I do use those, I have to admit. Making labels, sometimes that's easier, just do that on the software. How many of you have the software to work with? Premiere Plus 2 or MySonnet or whatever? Okay.
I do.
Okay, have you used it lately?
No.
To me,
I've
it's,
been doing other stuff.
yeah, I know. And to me, it's much easier just to go on the machine if I want to put some lettering on something. This took me no time. And
Yeah.
that was a bonus to me. So,
Yeah.
all right. Now, let me grab our parts. So the directions say to, I just want to follow my butt here, to cut some different pieces. So what I did is I found a pillow, and I'm not sure if I can, let's see if I can share that. No, maybe not. All right, let me try sharing this and go into the screen, portion of the screen. And then I'll pop this one up. See if it'll pop up. Not my poppies, this one. All right. Can you see that, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Mine is frozen in a book.
Yeah. And what I did is I actually took this idea, I Googled some frozen reading pillows. And the reason I did that is because I've had this fabric laying around for several years. I bought it when my granddaughter was totally into Frozen. However, she isn't now. But I thought, well, I'll make it up. I might find somebody who wants it. So that's what I'm doing. So if you take a look at this, and I don't have a pointer, but if you look at the swirls, we have a swirl like that in our machine. And we also have some snowflakes. You could download some snowflakes from MySonnet, and I might do that. But I like the way this time is on a curve. This is larger. Frozen is a different font. I look at it and I see curls, and then you can enlarge each different letter. And then this is, the N is down, and then a book. The A is up a little bit, and then the book. This is really easy to do once you learn the basics. So what I did is I cut out the pattern, and these are 13 by 16. I have 2 of those. This is 2 13s by 4.5. And then this is, I don't know, I can't remember the other, let's see. This one is 13 by 8. Then the band is 25.5 by 7.5. I made the lining the 8.5 by 8.5. This is the 11-inch square with the fleece pressed to the back. And then this is the back of the pillow. Okay, so those were the pieces that you had to cut out. Right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with the 11 by 11 piece of fabric. And then we're going to hoop the stabilizer, which is just a tearaway, in the 260 by 200 hoop. So I'm all set with, I did pick a few colors. So I chose the blues of the Frozen. So I have a light blue, and then 2 mediums. I'm not sure which one I like better, and then the dark. So I'm all set with what I'm going to make with it. So if you don't feel like you're going to have enough time to finish this pillow, basically just do your best in trying to finish this square. Okay? So what I want to do right now is we're going to go over some of the lettering concepts, and then we'll go over the directions. So let me see if I can share my screen. Share. Install. And all righty. Okay, so here is the screen of the embroidery edit. And as you can see on the icon too, we've got some, let's see, trying to get this straight. We got a lot of information here. So we have the basic icons across the top, and then we have the information screen, and the selected hoop right now is 240 by 150. That was the metal hoop that I just used. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to change my hoop to 260 by 200. All righty. And then I have the 60 foot. In other words, I have it all set up to embroider. And then on the right, I have the projection. This is called the layers screen. This is the artist palette or edit color. This is the icon, no longer the butterfly, the icon for opening up the designs of the machine. This icon, which is the flower with the world, is, oh, you can open up my Sonnet library directly from your machine. These are the fonts, what we're going to open up in a minute, and then you can load the stitches. We did that last time with the cut work. This is my folder. If I have anything saved, I would have it in that folder. Projects, and then this is a search function, and I'll mention that again. What you can do is you can search by tags. So if you want to type in children, let's see if it'll search for children. It may not. Usually it jumps up. Not looking like it's going to. Let's try dragon. Let's see if that happens. It usually cooperates. I wonder if it's not cooperating because I changed, although I got my internet hooked up. All right, I'll play with that later, but I think you get the idea. I'm just going to close it now. All right, we're going to open up the lettering. And in the lettering, you can see that there are many fonts included. What a difference from my Pro 2. I was so excited because the Pro 2, I did use the software to create other lettering. But here I have so many choices, and that's how I end up with, on my flags, with a number of different fonts and sizes and all that other stuff. One of the things that I wanted to show you is when you have a number to the right, that number is the size in metric. And I've used a little, I got a teaching tool, I guess, with my students, and I would show them a quarter. So this is a quarter, right? A quarter is actually 1 inch in size. So I would get that, I guess that is kind of a, oh, I don't know, you know, they have the acronyms and things like, what was it? My grandson learned the compass north, south, east, west. Nobody eats soggy waffles, something like that. This one quarter was an example. If you've got this quarter, this is 1 inch. So when you look down the screen, you'll see that 20 is approximately 3/4 of an inch. 12 pouty is a 1/2 inch. And so when you use that, you have a better idea of how big your font is. Now, in your directions, it says to load your dragon first, and then do the lettering. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go into the screen with the designs. There we go.
Did you push my open? Yeah. What did you push to get the grid on the background? Mine's plain.
Oh, okay, good question. Go down to your hoops. And when you go down to your hoops, there is a grid option right here. And right now I have it set on 1/2 inch. And you can use that as a design, or you can use 20, type in 25 and you'll get a 1 inch grid. So it just is what you prefer. But for this lesson, I have a 1/2 inch grid. Be sure to check on. That's how it will stay on when you open up your screen. Okay,
Okay.
Cindy?
Yep, got it.
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. All righty. So now I've opened up my designs and I'm going to swipe across the top to children. But I had a thought. The other day when we had our blooper, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look on the Facebook page, but when we had our blooper, I told the ladies that I would be inspired to turn it into something. And it is a pillow that I will use on my front porch. These here are the pop-ups. That's that first block of the Block of the Month Club. You don't have to make a wall hanging. You can learn the techniques that are built into your machine by just doing a square at a time. So that's why I did this pillow. I added some lettering, lots of lettering, and playing around with fonts. So what that is then is a repetition of building that muscle memory, as Nadine calls it. And then I had a leftover butterfly from something else that has just been randomly sitting on my desk. And I thought, that's perfect. I'll just put that in. There was a blank space here, and that's where this came from. So I wanted to share that with you before I forgot. Some of you probably have yours still sitting in a pile. Prudence, did you get anything done? Prudence picked out some beautiful fabric.
No, I didn't. Not yet, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Not yet. I don't blame you. That was 2 days ago. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look for our dragon, and there it is, number 19. Now, if you don't want to do that dragon, then you'll notice I'm going to tap off. I'm going to see what that other dragon looks like. See how big that is. Oh, that's a little dragon. Yeah, those are little dragons, but they would be cute. You could make those larger if you choose to, but the directions say to use this number 19. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. Come on, delete. And we're ready to begin. So whoops, I touched my mouse. Let's get you back up again. There we go. I'm moving things around on my desk here so I can read the directions. So on, what page is that? That page is page 2. It takes you step by step to opening it, but the directions are for the icon. So you should be able, if there's someone who's watching this that has purchased this class, you should be able to follow this quite easily if you have an icon machine. I'm featuring the icon too because they haven't caught up yet with making lessons for the icon too. So it says press and hold and to put one design on the screen. I always like to start in the center. So to get that in the center, I go into edit design, and here's my move icon, that little plus symbol. And I like to put it smack dab in the middle. And when you put it in the middle, the points, the X and the Y axis are 0, 0. So 0 horizontal, 0 vertical, it's right in the middle. Now, this, see these little scaling things? That's one of the things that the ladies are complaining about. And the squares are so big, I don't find it an issue because I can work around it. Let me just put it that way. So the directions say scaling allows you to bring it all the way up to 20% above or below. In other words, 20%, if you make it larger, will spread the stitches out. So it's thinner between the stitches.
Can I stop 1 second? My screen, I'm not seeing the edit design. I have a keyboard on it. Do you know how to get rid of that?
Oh, close the A. Just tap A.
No, that didn't get rid of it.
Are you on Stitch Creator or?
I'll show you what I have. Can you see it?
Okay. Let's see. Let me change. Let me zoom
Do you see
in.
mine that I have that keyboard?
Yeah.
Does anybody else have that? I've never seen that up there before.
That, I thought that only came up during the, when you were putting
The,
a lettering up.
yeah, let me see if I can recreate that.
It's weird. I don't know what, I mean, I just opened up and put the dragon in and it showed up.
All right.
And you have added up.
It says embroidery edit at the top.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to try and recreate it. I'm going to start pushing buttons. So,
You're gonna close your edit design.
no. Let's see. That wasn't it. I was thinking maybe it was Applique Creator. There's,
No,
It went,
close your edit design and open up the A.
yeah.
close my edit design. Where's the edit design?
Third icon from the left at the bottom. Yes.
Nope. Maybe I'll just turn it off and on again because I have no idea.
I can't recreate it, and so
Open up your A.
I
like
did,
you're
and all
doing the
that,
alphabet.
I did, and all that does is brings up all the fonts on the side.
okay.
I'll just shut my machine down and start again.
Pick a font.
Well, let's, for time's sake, just shut it down, Cindy, and start again.
That's what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about this. It's just like, I don't know where that showed up from.
Well, I don't either, so it's a mystery. Maybe it'll show up on my end. I don't know. At some point, I'll play with it. You know, it's so hard to recreate some screens because I'm not seeing it, what actually happened. So this, first of all, you'll notice that my screen, oh no, you're not supposed to do that. Oh. So that means obviously that it's something with the iPad. Because it's not my internet. My internet is good. My internet is actually excellent. All right, taking a few minutes to reboot this iPad. So the towels that I made for my nephew, he's a computer geek. He's teaching that in the fall at the high school. I'm gonna pick his brain, see if he can help me. A little payoff, I'm gonna tell him. All right, so now what you have here is you'll see all of these are grayed out. And the reason they're grayed out is because I haven't selected anything. So you have to select the dragon. And now all of the information in the edit design screen pop up. If you tap the eye, you get what all of those symbols mean. So if you're having trouble trying to figure out what these symbols are, just tap the eye. And I'm going to tap it to close it. This symbol here is the rescale. So if I tap that, you can see right now that it's 75 by 81.5. 75 is the width, and then 85 is the height. So now I'm just going to keep on, see if I can go any farther. And it's beeping at me, so that's the largest it's going to be. So 3 inches is the largest it's going to be. Now, if I want, I could go into resize. And this is what just about killed me. I could not find it when I opened up this screen in the early days. So what I'm talking about is right here. This symbol right here is resize. So if I tap that, it opens up another screen and I can tap resize again. And then I have to tap the 3 flowers from large, medium, and small is what that icon is. And now I can continue to make it larger. Now, the one thing you have to beware is when you do sentence stitches and you resize, I'm sorry, it recalculates all of your stitches. And so it may be that there might be something thrown off. And the design that I had shared with a group, I had some issues. It was striping right through the dragon's mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 75 right here. I'm just going to tap 75. There we go, and just hit OK. I'm going to leave it at 75. And if you zoom in, so if I zoom in, see how it stripes right there? Can you see the spaces? That's what I was referring to.
So I missed how you got into resize. I'm sorry.
That's okay, I'll go over it. All right, now I gotta highlight the design.
Okay.
And then I go down here to resize. It's the large flower, medium, and a small flower. You
Got it.
tap that.
Okay.
When you tap that, it brings up the other resize screen, and you tap that. And then one more resize right over here.
Okay.
And then I can resize it. But if you can see it doesn't do a nice job. It doesn't do the same type of job as a computer software program. It will recalculate much better in the computer. But what we're going to do is I'm going to bring it in again. I'm going to delete it because I don't like it. And delete. Bring it in again. And highlight. Bring it in to, and put it in the middle. All right, change. Now, the other thing too is when you do that, Cindy, this might have happened to you. When you do that, it reverts back to the size it fits the best, which is 80 by 80. So I'm going to have to change my hoop again to 260 by 200. And there it is, right in the middle of my screen. So if I drag it just to enlarge, whoops, you stay still. Grab that and drag it. So now it's 75 by 81.5. You can see that it's not, it's still nice. I can rescale it and it doesn't look bad, is my point. All righty. So I'll get back to there. Okay, so now when you deselect it, then on page 3, you're going to use the keypad when you go to load the font. So you're going to load the font. The first font is Graphite 20. So I'm going to select Graphite 20. Come on. And that's when the keyboard pops up. But that's a different keyboard, isn't it, Cindy, than you had?
That's what was there. My dog is barking in the background here.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. Then you have the cap locks right here, and that's just like, hello there. That's just like your phone. You've got upper and lower case. And so what you're going to do is you're going to just spell out reading. And then you are going to touch the shaping icon, which is this one right here. Let me see, I'll get out of the way over here on this side. And I'm going to tap that. And now it pops up a variety of text shapes. And what I want is the second one right here. And what that does is it arcs the letters to the top. And so now I'm going to close the keyboard, we'll close this screen. Close the A, we'll close that screen. And I'm just going to move that up to here. And
Which one closed the keyboard?
there's a little, let me show you.
Oh, wait, is that, I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yep, yep.
It looks like a keyboard on a computer. And it's in the upper right. So drag or position that, the word reading above the design. Touch, deselect, and now touch the A again. And this time choose curls 12. And then you're going to type in the words opens windows, upper and lower case. Now I just put a space in there and I'll show you how we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so open windows. And then we're going to select the shaping icon again. And this one, we're going to do the curve to the bottom. So that's how you basically can curve your lettering. I will go back and show you how I'm going to do that time on a path. Those are called a curve on a path. And a path is just the line. That's what that means. Now here's that keyboard right there. And now I'm going to close this. And it says just to drag this down below that. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that these letters that you see, low system resources. All right. I don't understand. Okay. Let me see if I can pause here. I'm going to pause. So it's very faint down here, but what you'll find out is that curls, no matter what size you pick, is always that teal blue. With the graphite, it's always black. So each font has a specific color to it. Now, you can leave these in that color, Oh, I lost it again. This is starting to upset me again. I have no idea what the story is. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go to load font again. So we'll go here. And this one, we're going to select times 12. So times is all the way at the bottom. So we're going to pick times 12. The pop-up for spelling opens up and we're going to type in to the, all lowercase. Okay, close that. Now you'll see to the comes in, times comes in at pink. So what we want to do right now is we want to make sure that all of this lettering stays in the screen. So I'm going to just move this up here. I'm going to move the reading part down.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring the to the, whoops, I just made it larger. Now, one of the things with the fonts is if you want to make it larger, you can rescale it. But if I accidentally made it too large, so we have an icon right here called undo. So I can undo that resize or rescale. And now it should be, let me see how far back I can go. All right, there, back on the reading. So there. Now that's back in size. So the one thing you want to do is you want to keep deselecting the fonts. Otherwise, you'll change that to the. So what we want to do next is Pouty 20. And whoops. And now Pouty 20 is imagination. I laughed at myself yesterday. I spelled, when I was spelling Brandon, I spelled it with an M. All right, so I got to make sure I'm spelling it right. If you make a mistake, these little spacers take it back one by one right here on their screen. See, and you can change the lettering. And this delete button is you can delete wherever that cursor is. Okay, now that's it. We're going to hit the keyboard, close this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this imagination down to the bottom. All right, so at the moment, all of these elements are individual. So if you go up to the layers panel, you'll see that when they come in as one. So they come in grouped already. You can rescale them, but if you want to change them, whether you want to make them smaller in size or spacing, you have to ungroup them. So if I ungroup to the, I highlight it and I go up here to ungroup, I now have to space the. I'm going to deselect all of these and only select that's the space. And I am going to delete that space. All right, then I am going to select multiple and put those in a group. So now I have just deleted that space, so we won't have that stitch that doesn't stitch anything, it just cuts the thread. Now the other one is open windows. So if I want to do the same thing, I have to ungroup it. And what it does is it opens and then a space. So I'm just going to deselect these. Now be careful. You can accidentally deselect lettering or boxes you don't want to deselect, I mean, you want to delete. So just unhighlight them all, make sure you have all of them, and then go up to your space, hit options, and hit delete. All right, then go back and select them again and group them all. Oops. And group them. So by the way you put them in, you have now a different cell for each section. The dinosaurs first. If you want, you can do all the dinosaur first, or you can do the lettering first. If you want to move it and do it in sequence, then deselect that and just drag this up. And now reading is first, then you go to the dinosaur, then you go to imagination. Because of that, that's gonna stitch out first. So now I want to bring that back down. I want to bring open windows back up. And now I'm going to take the reading and I'm going to bring it back down. And now I have it in sequence. The dragon's going to stitch first, reading, opens windows to the imagination. Now, according to her directions, she has, it looks like she's recommending that you select all of the designs. So I'm going to select the dragon, all of them, and group them as one. Okay, now what that does is that means you can move this around, and also you can get it centered on your hoop. So I'm just going to go into the edit screen, tap the center. Now it's the whole design. The whole design is in the center. And now we're ready to embroider. So the next step is to hit go. And then I have to attach my hoop. Now, are you all okay with setting up for embroidery?
No.
Who's saying no?
Cindy, when I went to try to get rid of the space on to the, it all of a sudden showed up down in a whole nother step.
The space did?
Yeah.
All right, there's those three little lines on the side. The three little lines on the side. Whoops, what's going on here? Oh. Okay, wow, that was weird. All right, when I open it up like this, oh, you know what? I have to go back to embroidery edit. I can't change anything. So when you open up the layers panel,
Yeah.
make sure you're holding, or your finger is on top of those two lines with dots above and below them, and then select the delete, the options. Did that work?
I don't know. I'm just deleting it all. I'm going to put it back in again because I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay. If you don't put in a space, then two the are right next to each other.
But it, so you have to get rid of that space. Is that what you're saying?
No, you don't have to. I just find it annoying.
How did you move things to get them in the order?
Okay, good question. I'll go back. All right, I have them all grouped now. I'm going to select it and ungroup. All right, right now I have my dragon. Reading, I just long hold and either bring it up or bring it down. And I can continue going down if I want to. When you change something, like when you change, if you took the space out of to the, it puts it at the very bottom. So everything else gets moved up. So you have to make sure that in the layers that you put them in order.
All right, that's what I
Fine,
missed.
it'll sew, it's fine, it'll sew, but to me, it's just annoying. I like to have everything in order. So I'm going to select multiple, reading is first, then the dragon opens windows to the imagination. Now, what I would do is I would definitely save it. So go over here to save. And then I have, do I have something for that? I don't know. I do not. Well, I'll put it in techniques class. And then I'll just rename it. Dragon. Okay, so now it's saved because I don't want to do all that work and then find out that there's an issue. All right, is everybody good? Now, the other thing I want to check too is I want to check the size of it. So now that I have everything grouped and it's in the center at 0, 0, then I can go over here to rescale and it'll tell me that it's 142 by 197. So that means it's going to fit in my 260 by 200 hoop. Okay. And I'm going to close this. And I'm at 100%, so it's at the regular size. Now, the first thing you want to do is you'll want to baste it. Do you prefer floating, or do you like to hoop the whole fabric? It's up to you. I prefer floating. And let's see if this will even fit. Let me find my white piece of fabric. Here it is. Well, I could get it to, I could hoop it, but the top and the bottom wouldn't be hooped, see? So to me, just sitting it on top like this is what I call floating. All right, now I'm gonna go over here.
Adeline, can I ask you a question before you go on?
Sure.
I had to step away, but I'm trying to figure out whether this is really going to fit in my hoop, even though it shows it in the hoop. Now, how did you go back? Because everything is grouped together. How do I ungroup it again?
Did you group them all together?
They were all, yeah, because at one point you said to group them all together.
Okay. Now, you'll notice that there's no red line all the way around. So now
Okay.
that tells me it's going to fit in the hoop.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So what I want to do is to make it easier on myself, I'm going to make sure that that design is right directly in the center. And so that makes it much easier to embroider. In the event that something goes wrong, we learned this from way back, to always try and start in the center. If you move it around, then write down the points wherever you have it on the screen. So
Okay.
that's just a habit I got into a long time ago.
The problem is though, that when I go into edit design to try to get it back to the center, it's just all grayed out. So nothing happens.
Oh, go back. What's it say? Does it say embroidery edit at the top?
Yes.
Did you select it all?
Did I select one?
You have to have the box around it. Does it look like that?
Oh, no, it doesn't have a box around it.
Tap it.
Now
So
it's,
you have
okay,
to-
now it's working.
Yeah, now go to edit design. And
I'm
now
there.
you have the 0 points.
Yep, well, cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
all righty.
okay, thank you.
All right, good. Now, let me get to the stitch out and I'll show you a little trick. All righty. I am not going to stitch this out. I'm going to, while you guys are sewing, I'm going to work on that frozen pillow wording I want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my thread. Now, here's a point I want to make. When I do lettering, it's this is, again, something I learned a long time ago, is when I did the monograms on those towels, you're going to see the same color on the front and the back. So what I had was the gray on the front, and then I wound a bobbin with the same bobbin, you know, I wound a bobbin with this thread. So it was both the same. I did not use a bobbin thread. I just used the sulky thread. Let me go get that one of those towels and I'll show you my example. So when you get the towel and you have it on the right side, you'll see that it's gray. When you flip it over, it's the same thread color and the same shininess. I love Floriani for doing monograms because it's just so shiny. So that's what I do if you are going to see the back of it. You are not going to see the back of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use white bobbin thread and just set up my machine. Okay, now you can decide whatever colors you want to use. So let me show you what I did.
Come here.
So I used the teal to match the pillow cuff. Then I used the red to match a dinosaur. Then I used the orange for the dinosaur and his chest. And then I used imagination for the dark blue and the pterodactyl or whatever that is. Okay, I used a darker green and I got a thread there. I just noticed it. So I used the darker green here. I used pink purple right here, and then an orange flower and pink center, and then a red window. And then the final outline is the black, or sometimes I'll use a dark gray, a real dark, like charcoal gray. Okay, now when I go to sew it, or embroider it rather, let me hit go. And I'm going to attach it in the hoop. All right, now the first stitch it goes to is the R in reading. Now let me show it to you. You saw the needle go all the way up to the top. Where it's going is right here. That little mark right there denotes the needle entering. So it's going to do that first. What I like to do is I like to go to precise positioning. And this is one of the tricks that I do is by the way, this was a question on the, I think it was on the Facebook page. I read so many different pages, I get confused. If you see the white box around there, set position, you can tap it, and now you can float your icons. And you can float this icon and any other icons that you want. And then you can close this screen. Now you have some room to work with it. I really don't need this to zoom in. I can go back quite easily. But here, what I want to do is I want to pick the center. And in precise positioning, this is the needle point. And I'm going to pick the center, and it turns a teal blue. That's the center of my entire design. I'm going to lock it in place. Okay. Then I am going to go over here to where that center point is in my hoop. And the easiest way to find the center of the hoop here is to fold it in half, increase it, and then fold it in quarters. Whoops, it's a little off. So it looks like this. Okay, then that becomes the center mark, and I just float it like this, and where that mark is, and you can mark it with a marking pen if you want, where that mark is where I put my center of my piece of fabric. So I know it's going to be in the center of this square because I folded it to find center. And then I know it's going to be the center of the hoop because I did it in precise positioning. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my screen, my projector, and there's the dragon face. Doesn't show up very well, but there's the dragon face. And that's the design that's being projected. So that doesn't do a whole lot for me. So I'm just going to turn that off. And now I'm going to stitch the reading. Then it will stitch all the different steps in the dragon. Then it will stitch open windows to the imagination. Just like this.
So if you're floating it and you baste it, that will hold it in place better, right?
Yeah. So the directions say to baste. When I float it, I always baste. When I hoop it, I baste it. I don't
Around
take,
hoop or design?
yeah, I don't take any chances.
Which do you do, hoop or design?
What do you mean, hoop or design?
It says based around design or based around hoop?
Okay, good point. Let me point that out. Let me show you something. All right, when I hit baste, basting around the design is it will baste around that reading all the way down to imagination. If you select based around the hoop, it will go all the way around the hoop. I typically will baste around the design. Then I know how big it's going to be when I stitch it out. I know if it's going to be straight. That's another thing. You can see if the lines are straight. And then what I know is it's closest, it's holding it down closest to the actual stitch out. So when I did the ribbons, let me get this further out. When I did the ribbons, you can barely see, because this is an organza ribbon, you can barely see the basting marks that I used. And then I knew that these letterings would fit inside this. This is a 1.5 inch ribbon. I checked the sizing before. And then this is where I had the cut, stop, cut, stop. Now, interesting, it stitched Jenny first, then it jumped to Brandon, and then it went back to Anne. So I did not check the sequence. I was in a hurry. I didn't check it. Okay. However, if you try to do the whole thing at once, you are going to get a basting box around both of them. So what I did is I deleted this. When I made the design, I typed in Jenny and Brandon, and then the lettering, the date, and then I saved it. When I brought it in, I just had Jenny. I deleted July 8th. When I finished with Jenny and Brandon, I deleted it and brought the design back in again. When I brought it back in, I didn't need the Jenny and Brandon, so I deleted it. But by doing that, I was able to get the basting box around the lettering only, individual basting boxes. This is real easy to do, believe it or not. That was fun too. You can actually decorate your ribbons. I wonder where that design is. It's here somewhere, but I have ribbons that have been decorated, and that is time consuming to say the least. I can buy the ribbons with something on it, but this is very unique to this gift. Any questions? No. Okay. All righty. So the next thing you want to do is you'll see that color sort should be selected and then merge. So what it's going to do is it is going to sew all of, by tapping color sort, color merge is going to go to reading, R, and stitch the whole thing with jump stitches in between. Then it'll do the dragon, and then it'll stitch the open windows again, all at once without stopping. And then the same with the other. If you don't pick color sort and merge, then it types, like for example, imagination. It types I, then M, then J, then, and stops each time.
Where do you pick the color merge? Okay, there it is, but.
In your edit screen, you pick color sort and color merge. Okay.
These colors.
We doing okay?
No, where did you get the color sort?
Right up here in the artist palette. When you tap that,
Yeah.
across the top, it says based. Ghost mode, right now ghost mode's turned off. So if I turn it on, it shows you just what you're embroidering at that time. And right now, it's the reading. If I turn it back on, then I can see all of the colors.
Mine's just got a based is highlighted and the sort and all that is merge is all, you can't touch it.
It's got what highlighted?
The based,
The face is highlighted?
the based is highlighted and I can't touch any of the other ones. Does that happen to anybody else?
Oh, you have to hit go. I mean, okay. So basted it. Now it should pop back up.
Oh, first based it and then do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So we need the color that we're gonna put reading in.
All right. Now I'm going to give you, I don't know, how about a half an hour to embroider? And I'll pause the recording. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. So when you guys were busy embroidering your reading wording, I went ahead and did this design on the screen. I tried to do the best that I could. There were some glitches, but it was pretty interesting. So I am going to just stop that for a minute. And here is my design. And I'll show you a little bit better view of it and explain basically how I did things. Alrighty. Because these are some of the things that I want you to be able to do once you've taken this class. So alrighty. So right now I'm just removing the basting. And then after you remove the basting and remove it from the hoop, you're going to cut it down into an 8-inch square. Then you have another 8-inch piece for the lining. All righty, so here's what I did. I found these designs right here, these swirls in frames and borders, right there. It was a small design, so what I had to do was I had to take it into, let's see if I can, yeah, I grouped them all together. What I had to do is take it into the edit, and then I opened it, you know, I drew it out in the rescale, but it wasn't long enough for me. So I went into resize, and in order to go into resize, you have to do a couple of things. One of the things you have to do is ungroup something. So that is still a group. So now I'm going to have to ungroup that. And now I click on it, and do you see now the resize popped up? So anytime you have something grouped, they all come in a group, even if it's just one letter. Like when I did this A here, I had to ungroup it in order to resize it to make it larger. So remember that. If it won't let you go any further than rescale, stop, go back into the layers panel, ungroup whatever it is, and then you can do that. Then once you ungroup it, then see my layers, my A rather is selected, and now I have the resize. Otherwise, it's grayed out. The other thing that I did too is with this frozen, I'll move that up out of the way so you can see it a little better. What I did is, in order to copy it as close as I could, let me make sure I get that so you can see it. This is a capital, this is a lowercase, this is a capital, lowercase, lowercase, capital. And what I had to do was ungroup them again so that I could make them larger. Because what I wanted is I essentially wanted the R to be, the R and the N to be much bigger. And now you can see that it's, the resize is no longer grayed out. So that's how I did that. Then the snowflakes, let me just move this up here. You know what, I'm gonna undo, see if I can go back to, it's not gonna let me. I gotta get this back here where it belongs. See, so now that it's ungrouped, I have to make sure that I group them all.
I was just gonna say, I hope you saved that before you.
I didn't.
Oh, I've done that before.
So when I just regrouped that frozen, it went all the way down to the bottom. And that's what I was referring to. Anytime you do that, like I'm going to bring this back up above the snowflakes. And then when I go to select these three to group, it goes to the bottom again.
Yeah.
So, and then what happened was, I don't know if you noticed that, but the frozen's in there because evidently I had,
And got them all together.
yeah, I had selected that too, but I'm gonna go
Yeah.
back and play with it. But let me see if I can show you what I did. So what I did is I ungrouped these. I typed in time, it came in as a group, I ungrouped them. Then I took one time and used the rotate key and rotated it, you know, either to the left or the right after I put this swirl in. Then I used another font right here to give it some character. This is all curls. Also, I was trying to copy this A, and this A is only found in curls. Every other font is what we typically look at as an A, which is the circle or the oval and then a tail. Then I did the same thing here. I just ungrouped them, resized them to make them bigger. This one is the only one I pretty much left alone. Then I brought in the snowflakes. And what I did with that is I went into Stitch Creator and I brought in from the decorative stitches, snowflake, and it's right here, number 16. And as you can see, there's a tail right there. So what I just did is I made sure that everything was, I turned off select multiple, and then I just tapped this here, and it, I don't know if you can see that, but it turned it orange.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to hit delete. Now, I want to make it ×3, but in order to make it ×3, I have to select all of them. When I select all of them and they turn orange, now this ×3 will work. So I got it to be more pronounced. And then I'm going to save it. And I'm just going to call it Snowflake. And now it automatically brought it right back in. It's right there. See, there's a new snowflake right there.
Mhm.
So when you go directly from embroidery and go into Stitch Creator, then it'll just bring it back in when you're done with it. Okay, but I don't want that. I'm gonna actually delete that. So basically, that's how I, let me, oi, come on. If you have trouble grabbing something, just go in the screen, make sure nothing else is selected, and then you can group those. Those are already grouped. And then this is in A, and deselect that and group that. And then remember, they're all going to the bottom. This one I'm going to ungroup so that I can turn off frozen and then get all of those grouped together as one. So now I just take this and bring it up above those snowflakes, but not right there. Time is frozen. Actually, what I did is you have to sew these swirls first because frozen sits on top of it. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm just going to drag those up and put them under time is right here. Put them right there. And then I'm gonna group the snowflakes. There we go. And they go to the bottom, which is where I want to leave them. But then this gets moved up here. I have to ungroup that because the A is in the wrong place. So does that make sense? Everybody know how to take a look at a picture, something you might find, and try to recreate it as close as you can on the machine. That was my goal. Did it work?
You did pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
You should have saved it before you start playing though.
I know. All righty, so did all of you cut your 8-inch square yet?
Yeah, but I had a problem because I didn't put my reading close enough to the dragon, so I can't do an 8-inch square. It needs to
So
be
what-
bigger.
Oh, how much bigger, Cindy?
Not much, like 1/2 inch.
Oh, that'll be fine.
It should be okay. I have enough fabric to cut another piece to match it, so.
Actually, I don't think it'll matter because my first one was bigger and it was fine. It just, when you go to look at your, pocket here, it's just a little taller up on the pillow. That's all. It'll be fine. But you will have to change the lining.
Yeah, I cut another piece to match it.
Yeah, to cut another piece to fit your pillow.
Yeah.
Or your pocket top. All righty, so next, let me cut I'm gonna tear off. You can tear off as much as you want. Obviously, you're not gonna see it because the lining is going to cover it up. But I don't like my projects to sound like they crinkle. So, all righty. Now, let me see if I can get over here. Right here on my yucky mat. All right, let me get rid of my threads. One of the next steps that you're going to do too is you're going to, you know what? Hang on, guys. I'm going to see if I can switch over here to my cutting table. Don't look. Let's see if I can get any higher. I don't know. No. So what you're going to do is you are going to take your ruler and you are going to measure 2 inches from the bottom, right here, 2 inches, and draw a line. See that line there? I used a chalk piece and drew that line. So don't forget to do that. Then I'm going to cut this.
On which piece?
I'm going to cut my 11 by 11. The one that I drew the line on is the 8 by, let's see, I want to make sure I tell you the right one. 13 by 8. Okay, because it's going to fit right here, like that. Okay. All right.
So you drew that piece on the 13 by 8?
I did. I drew that line on the 13 by 8. Yes.
So it would be at the 11 mark on the
what?
top of that. You're going up on the
Oh,
long
okay.
side.
Yeah, what I just did, I understand what you're saying. What I did is I took my ruler and I found my 2-inch marking and I just put the bottom of the piece right along the 2-inch marking and then drew a line. That's how I did it. Either way
On the
works.
you're going on the short end of the rectangle, right?
Mm-hmm, yep. All right, now let me cut this 4 inches one way. The other reason, as I said before, to group your projects is so that you can move the whole entire design to be in center. That's the plan. So, let's see, I have enough room, yay. All right. So let's see if I have an 8-inch square. Yep, I have an 8-inch square. Right there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to put this right on top and I'm going to sew across here. Let me switch out my thread.
Okay, so I didn't see which piece you were sewing to which.
So I'm going to say that again.
What pieces are you sewing together?
So I'm taking that 8-inch square lining piece and I'm
You're doing the
putting,
pocket.
yeah, I'm putting it on top of what I just stitched out. So here's what I just stitched out and I trimmed it down to 8 inches. So now I'm going to just put it right sides together. Obviously this is same sided as Kona cotton. So it's the same on both sides. And now I'm going to thread my machine and I put 1/4-inch foot on. I gotta make sure I thread this right. There we go. There. Turn on your iron if you don't have it turned on, so you can press. Alrighty, I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see. Now, when I don't want to mess this up, so I'm going to leave this just exactly the way it is. I'm going to go up here and on that zigzag stitch, that brings me to sewing. It hasn't wiped out anything. So when I'm done with sewing, I'm going to go back to embroidery just by tapping that embroidery screen. And then I'll be able to group it all back together and save it. So instead of messing it up. Okay, does that make sense?
No,
No? Did somebody say no?
I did.
You can
So had
toggle.
you got, were you still in embroidery stitch out?
Yeah, look. I still was embroidery. You can toggle back and forth between sewing and embroidery by using that icon right there. So if I tap this now, did you hear it? It lowered it. And
Are
there-
you in embroidery stitch out still or edit?
No, this is, I'm in edit. I'm in edit. Yeah. You can't do that in stitch out. It won't let you. It'll keep beeping at you. So then I'm just going to drag this back down here and put it here, and then I'll come back and save it. Because the A is out of place too. I got to bring that A right here. But so now, so I don't lose it, nothing's going to happen. I'm just going to go back to the sewing side of the machine. So you can go back between the sewing side and the embroidery side just by pushing that icon. Okay, so now I can sew because it brought the feed dogs back up again. So now I'm just going to sew this at 1/4 inch. Okay, yep, IDT is telling me, put my, says to use my 0A, but I'm using the 1/4 inch foot. And I'm just gonna sew this,
Just doing a straight stitch, right?
just a straight stitch, yeah. And I didn't tie off or anything. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my iron and press this up like this. See, I'm going to press this from the white to the blue. Then no, maybe I'll do it the other way. No, that'll be fine. If you do it the other way, you get a better edge stitch. So I'm going to edge stitch right here. I'm going to edge stitch on the blue. Does everybody see that? Okay. So I pressed it towards the blue, and then I'm going to edge stitch I'm going to edge stitch on the blue side, and an edge stitch is just to sew right along that fold so that you catch the seam and stitch it in place. It makes a nice sharp fold line. Now I've got blue thread on here, so it may be that you can't see that blue thread, especially when I put it up to the light, but I've stitched right here. Then I just turn this down like this and match up. I use a couple clips here. And match up those, and then come over here to the iron. Oops. Wrong way. Whee. All right. All right, and then I'm just going to press that down. Let's see, I gotta move the. Okay, now you can see it. I'm gonna have Kathy order me a new one of these filters presses, or just get the magic eraser and scrub it again. So now you've got a nice crisp folded edge. Okay, now I am going to take the 13 by 8-inch piece with the marked line, and I'm going to lay this flat and put, let's see if you can see that. No, you cannot. So let me move my iPad. Can you see how this pocket, that's the bottom of the pocket, is right here along that line?
Along the 2-inch line that we drew?
Right. Because when we're done sewing, we're going to flip it up. Okay. And I'm just going to put some pins because this is where I'm sewing. And then when I'm done sewing, I'll just flip it up like this. Okay. All right. Knock something down here. Oh. Okay. So now I'm on the machine and I'm going to show you how this looks. right here. Okay, so what you see here is I am going to sew those 2 layers, the lining and the top, right there along the edge. And I hope I'm catching the other side. I better be. Got that lined up right on that 2-inch mark. And of course, you could turn on your projector too if you wanted to. Now I'm going to turn this up like this and pin the pocket in place. Give it a press. And alrighty, now I am going to stitch right here. I hope I'm sewing straight. It doesn't look like it. Oh, a wee bit crooked, but it'll be fine. So it looks like that. Okay. So what I was saying, Cindy, is right here, you wouldn't have as much room for your book. I mean, you're only
Right.
going to, you're only going to be off a half an inch. That's no problem. So next, you're going to take the 2 13.5-inch sides, these 2 sides, and what you want to make sure is if you have a direction, then make sure that everything is going towards the top. All right, this side, I got my little girl, so let me turn her around there. No, I don't like that. I'll do it that way. And then I'm just going to take my pin out. See if let me get a clip. I like these clips better than I like pins. There, just pin that there like so. Oh, I got to get it up. I'm shrunk a bit. There we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to.
Is that the 8 by 4.5 or the 13 by whatever it was?
Yeah, it's 13 by 4.5, correct. So now I'm just going to sew those to the sides of this piece. And I can tie this off if I want to. Actually, cross, whoops. One button. So then that's stitched on that one side. Now I'm going to stitch this side and I'm going to clip it. All right. Okey-doke. So let's go down this way. And that's the beauty of the IDT, that you can go either way. You can go down one side and then turn around and go back the other because it feeds it evenly. I love that feature. All righty. next thing I'm going to do is press those two pieces away from the panel. Or away from the pocket. Then I like to square it up, so I might put some hot fix crystals on this. I think it'll look cute with some bling on it. All righty. Now, we're going to sew that top band. So I squared it up so that it's all nice and even. And there's my pocket. And then the directions tell you to take the back piece, and we're now on sew across the top edge with a, that looks like the bottom. Place 13 by 16 pillow back on top of the pillow front, right sides together. So let me find my 13 by 16. Yep, there's my 13 by 16. All right, right sides together. So it's going to look like this. And you'll notice that my Elsa is upright. Here's her head right here, and her head there. She's not upside down. So then it says sew across. So match the top and the bottom edges, sew across the top edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, open up the fabric and press. So now I'm gonna go over here. Have you guys ever done the burrito fold for the pillowcases?
So that you're just putting the pocket to the back, right?
I'm taking the pocket piece, I'm taking the back piece and putting them right sides together, and I'm sewing across the top. Let me show
So
you.
why did we have to cut another color front?
That is going to be a lining. That's what I was going to tell you. I didn't care. I did not use that other piece. But what she has you do is, see, let me just show you. Oh, timber. I didn't do it. So she has, in the directions, she has you do another piece. Oh, I don't think you can see it, but she didn't, let me read it, and then you can decide yourself. All right, Cindy? So then you put this,
Is that just to cover up the seams from the pocket?
yeah.
All right.
That was an extra step for me. So she says, place the muslin to the wrong side of the pocket. This will cover the back of the embroidery and the seams. But nowhere did, in the beginning, in the supplies, did it say muslin. So what I just did, oh, there it is, fabric C.
It did say it, but I didn't quite get it. But
Yeah.
it also said to do fabric A to make a size that big, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep. The fabric A is the back side of the pillow.
Well, then what's that other one? C.
So fabric B?
No, C. What isn't C a back
Oh,
side?
C is supposed to be the lining. Yes. Yeah, I didn't bother. It's a pillowcase. It doesn't have to be fancy. You could do that if you want. Let me just put it that way. So what you would do, let me show you, I haven't started sewing yet. So what you would do is you would take, oh, I did start sewing.
It's okay, I got it. Nobody
got
else seems to be questioning it, so it's fine.
Well, Cindy, I'll just do it for the sake of directions, okay? So what they're recommending that you do is I cut C, put it down like this, put it like this, say, so that it covers up the back part of the pillow with all that stitching. Okay? Doesn't matter to me.
No.
So I'll save that for another pillow front. So what I did is I'm going to put this is the back, right sides together. So across the top like this. The burrito part is a tricky part. All right. So now I'm just sewing together. It's a 1/4 inch sleeve. Kind of hard to do it perfect right here where I'm sitting. Then the directions say to press, open the fabric and press. So you can press the seams open, which is here, like this. Or you can press them to one side. I like to press my seams open. What is your preference? Anybody?
I think it depends on the project.
Depends on the project. Okay, that makes sense. All righty. Now here comes the tricky part. So what you're going to do is you are going to take, this is your pillow, and you are going to take the cuff right here, and you are going to place the cuff right sides together. Now let's see if this fits. Oh, it does. Woo. All righty. So you're going to place it right sides together like this. And then you are going to sew 1/4 inch right along there. Okay, so it says a scant 1/4 inch. Now I have my 1/4 inch foot, and my 1/4 inch foot is not a scant 1/4 inch. We have a 1/4 inch foot that is a scant 1/4 inch, and the opening is a wee bit wider. And by having that scant 1/4 inch foot, then you can move the needle to the right. But if I move the needle to the right now, it'll probably break the needle. Do any of you have a scant 1/4 inch foot? No, we sell them at the store. I rarely use, I'm not a quilter, so I don't have all those quilting gadgets. So, all right, here we go. Now, almost done. All right, I'm gonna see if I can explain this. All right. This seam that I just sewed now gets sewed to the other blue one. So what you do is you stuff the bottom of the pillow, you bring it around. Yoo-hoo, where are you? You bring it around like this, and that's why it's called a burrito. I wrapped it right around here. I'll do that again. See? All right, let me do it over here.
Yeah, can you do it where the bigger?
Yeah. All right, let me see if I can turn it. See if that helps. Ooh, don't look, don't look. I don't know if that's gonna help or not. I'll do it multiple times. All right. I sewed this top piece, right? Right here. I'm going to fold, if you can, the bottom like this. And wrap it all the way around to the other side.
Oh, for Pete's sakes.
See? All right, I'm going to turn it back up. And bring it over here. So I'm going to sew this seam right here. One more time. Here it is. Okay, I sewed this together. I laid it down right sides together like this. I want to sew this all the way around to here. In order to do that, because I have all, this pillow is not that big. It's when you do the bigger ones that gets to be a hassle. So I'm just going to roll it up like this. How I'm rolling it up from the end. I started at the bottom and I rolled it up and rolled it up. And now I'm going to bring it over and around to this side. And this works best if you clip it. See? So let's make sure that it matches. Looks like one of the seams is a little bit longer or shorter. So let me start at the end. All right. Okay, so let me sit down so I can show you. So I wrapped it, I rolled it, and I stitched this here. I'm going to use my clips. And here. This is a, like I said, this is a little bit tight. Okay. And now I'm going to sew here. If you can't figure this out, I'm okay with you sewing it whichever way you can, you know, fold it right sides together. But what this does, doing it this way, and the reason you're doing scant 1/4 inch, oh, this Aurifil thread drives me nuts. It just broke again. Does anybody have problems with Aurifil?
Never used
50?
it.
No, don't use it. All right, let's try this again. Close the pop up. All right. Oops, get back on there. All right, maybe I could have sewn it the other way too. This is a wee bit tricky. Didn't seem to be this bad when I did it before. Here, let me go this way. So I'm going to show you where I'm stitching. So right here, I brought this all the way over, tucked the pillowcase inside the tube. You're making a tube. And now I'm just sewing right on that line. Or not.
What you doing?
All right. All righty. Let's try this again. Push my fabric away. That's where the pocket is. That's what's causing the problem right now. It's a little bit easier when you got the whole pillowcase. You got more room. All right, I don't know. I got a few issues here. Well, we'll see if it works. And then what you do is you bring and pull the pillow out, pillowcase like this. Let me get back. So what I'm doing now, you see, is I'm pulling the pillowcase out. And if I stitched it to something, it's not going to work. And what that does, I can't imagine putting that lining in there too. I did, see? I stitched it down. And now I gotta unstitch it.
Then once you turn it inside out, you just
right,
sew the other two sides.
yeah, All right, here you go. I'll show you so it makes sense, but I just caught the other side when I was trying to stitch that little seam. Okay. And what it does is it finishes off that inside. Mine's a little sloppy, but I sure did much better with the other one. Make sense? Does that help?
Yep.
And then you just press it and then sew this together. So across the top here and then right down there. And then you're done. And you can, in the directions, she said you could use a serger, or I just use the overcast stitch. Let me show you on the inside of my pillow what I'm talking about. This one is much neater. There. All right, let me see if I can zoom in. See where I stitched it right here? And then I just did an overcast stitch. I typically use stitch 211 in the utility side of the machine. But look at how nice and neat this is. I had much better luck when I did this the first time. And also when you press it and all that, it looks much better. But I was okay, excuse me, I was okay with having this there you go, without a lining. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there a pillow form that's this size?
Yeah, you have, yes, you have to order it on Amazon. That's the only place. It's called a travel pillow, and that was the only place I could find it. So what I did, I'll be honest with you, Cindy, I make my pillow forms. So what I do is I take batting, like this inexpensive batting here, and I cut the shape. So this one I would, let's see what the finished size is. If there is a finished size. So I'm gonna guess it's, 12 by, maybe 12 by 15. And so I sew a rectangle 12 by 15, and then I stuff it with my scraps of batting. I make my own. So this is, this is some inexpensive batting that I've had laying around, or someone gave it to me, I don't know. And so I use these to make the pillow forms. I make them for all of my pillows. Let's see. I wonder, let me go see if I have one. I'll show you.
What's going on? Well, I'm about to lose power and my cord is not charging. So if I disappear, that's why.
So here you can see there's my batting. And then in this case, I use my serger. And if you have a serger, you can use that too. Mine's underneath everything at the moment. And then what I did, let's see if you can see that. And then I just sewed around it on 3 sides and then stuffed it. So I sewed 3 sides like this and then stuffed it with my batting pieces and then sewed across the top. Then I have, I don't know, this looks like a 10 by 10 pillow, maybe. Instead of buying the Kimberbell, those little pillows, instead of buying them, I just make them. Any questions? I'm gonna try and clean this one up. So let me show you some of the, let's see if I can do that. not that one. This one. All righty, so let's see if I can. So if you haven't seen these on the Facebook page, can you see that pillow?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's one pillow that someone did. And I'm trying to get the next to come up. I'm not going to come up. I have a little button there that says next. It's not going to next. All righty, let's see if I can find another one. Just to give you some other ideas of what some people did. All right, here's the next one. So there's, this is Vivian's. She used this fabric that had like knitting yarn, little balls of yarn. And then she used that kitty cat that's in that children's category. Everybody see that? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next one. And this one is Janet's, that she used this is for her granddaughter who's going to be 3, I think, in September. So what she did is she went into the My Sonnet library and found this castle with a rainbow. And then she looked online for a saying and she found this: something beautiful happens when you open a book. And that,
Nice.
and that fabric is perfect for it.
Yeah.
And so that's for her granddaughter. Then this is for her grandson. And so that was her reading. Her dinosaur looks brown, but it's actually a lighter green here. But why I wanted to show you is this is what happens sometimes when you take it in to resize. So if you're going to resize something, I would always test out the stitching first, just to make sure that it striped right here. I'm not sure how the machine interpreted that, but that's how it's stitched out. And then I found another one because we have a bookworm in right here. In the pop-ups, we have a bookworm. And I thought this would be cute too. And bookworm and training. They used garden fabric, that sort of thing. But it's very cute. And I like wherever this font came from. I love those satin stitching. Did a nice job. All righty. So I think it'd be really nice if you could, and when you finish too, to share what yours looks like so the others can see that.
Finish mine.
Oh, look at you.
That's cute.
Wow, you figured it out, right? Or did you just use a traditional way, Cindy?
No, I was doing it while you were doing it.
Perfect. All right. So if you're not going to use this for a gift or anything, that was a primer for doing it. And now you can do something, make your own garden flag or whatever. And then play around with the fonts. So I got a mess here. One of these is going to my grandson, and then I guess my granddaughter will get this mess here. I'm going to unstitch it and see what happens. Because I caught the pillow. I caught Elsa here. Oh no. There. Okay, I unstitched it. So I should be able to press that out. Yeah, I can press that out and make it neat. Should actually take out my serger and get it fired up. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I got a pack tonight. I haven't even done that, so. But that doesn't take me long. So, and are we all good?
Yes.
You are, thank you.
All righty.
Is there another class for next month? Have you done a?
Yes, it's, we're going to do cross stitch. If you look in the kitchen section, there's, I posted it on the Facebook page
Okay,
and it's, let me show you my practice.
like I said, my battery's about to die and my cord's not working, so
Yeah, let me just show you real quick my practice.
if I go, I go.
Okay, here's my practice. We're gonna actually use cross stitch fabric. And then these are the cross stitch designs, and I'm gonna show you how to bring in the cross stitch from the sewing side. But basically I'll have this ready for you as a file, and then you can bring in whatever jars you want. There's a strawberry jar, there's a cherry jar, there's a little sugar jar, a little canister. But then at the bottom of the towel, if you look on the page, Facebook page, there's a crochet lace, and we're going to make that too. We'll do that first. We'll make the crocheted lace first, rinse it off, and then air dry it so we can sew it on, but it's a kitchen towel.
Okay,
Heidi Todd had made one with just one singular jar, cross stitch jar, but I went a little bit further than that, so. All righty.
Is that, is that a regular class or is that
No, that's our technique.
okay?
Because the lace is on, it's an endless lace design. I'm going to show you how you can use your metal hoop. You can use an endless hoop if you have one. Or do all of you have a metal hoop?
Yes.
Yeah.
depends what size, but yes.
It actually fits Cindy in the smallest one, so it doesn't matter. So I will, here's something that I haven't finished yet too. So Fran, I can relate. There's an endless table runner that I've been working on for a while. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Okay. It's a cross stitch on the linen. And then you do one after another, after another, after another. And then you can see where I joined them here too.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that's next month. August 24th, maybe? I don't know. I posted it today I posted it this morning on the Facebook page. So Cindy, take a look. Okay.
All right.
All righty. Okay, then I'll render this video and send it out tonight.
Okay.
All right, ladies.
Thank you.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
thank you.
Bye.
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 Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.